Okay, I think we better kick off. We waited long enough. So, once again, welcome everyone. Welcome to our Friday feature. So, today's session, we're going to be covering student portal and online class enrollment. Can everybody see my screen? Give me a thumbs up. If you can find, there's an emoji at the bottom. Thank you very much. Okay, let's get going. So, in today's session, we're going to be talking about the two I say the most interesting add-on modules to our system. Okay, that is the student portal as well as the online self-enrollment module. Okay, for those that have already have the student portal, you probably would know student portal give access, easy access to student. Okay, and it's a comprehensive platform so that we allow student from the portal, student is able to manage the class enrollment, view the timetable, check results, track attendance, and also handle payment online if you have the extra paid away module added to your package. Okay, so it also allows easy access for students to communicate between teachers and the administration college. Okay. As for the online self-enrollment, it allows students to go on to the system to do their own enrollment. So this would kind of like help lighten up the load on your administrator as well. Okay. But then alternatively, having to say that student can do their self-enrollment, staff can also still enroll student through directly into their through their student profile. Right. Just a short note, these two modules are actually optional add-ons module. Okay, they are not your standard. They are not in your standard package. So if you are interested after this session, hopefully I can turn some of, if not all of you around to come and add on this package. So you can reach out to our sales team and discuss with them to how do we add on this onto your package. Okay. Now next, today's agenda is quite simple. We first show you how to set up student ID to get you ready for the login for your student portal. Then I will go through some of the features, or in fact, all of the features that is listed in the student portal so you have an overview of how the student will look like, how the portal will look like, how it will work for the student. And also next is I will show you how we can set up subject enrollment in the admin portal so that we can then show you how the student can do self-enrollment in the student portal. Okay, so without further ado, let me quickly switch on to my system and we'll get started. Okay, so under student, when you have access to student portal, so that means that all your students should already been set up in your system. Okay, so this is the student list. So from here, how do we set up a student ID to access student portal? There's two ways. The first way is we can use this little man icon on under the student tab. Okay, if you simply click onto this little man icon, it will then allow you to set up the user ID, the password, and the security questions. So as far as the system is concerned, username for student portal, the student ID is unique. Okay, so if you have decided that you guys have a different sets of naming convention for your student portal, you can change. This is dynamic. Okay, but this is only when the case that you're enrolling the student one by one, right? So if you're like me, a little bit old school, I probably will stick to something like welcome 123, set up a default password. So when they log in, because the student will receive a welcome email with all their credentials and the link for them to log in. So even once they log in, we will strongly suggest that the student reset their own password. Okay, but if you are say I'm living in the new age now, so I don't use the old default password thing, then of course you have the option of using the random password generator. So this is even better. All right, so system will generate a random 8-character long password to go into the email to go out to the student. Now, again, security question, if you guys have a default set of questions that you want to use, by all means do so. Otherwise, system recognize the passport number to be the most unique questions. Okay. So by having to say that these are all set up, once the student log in, they will be able to go in and make the changes. So once I do that, so I know this is going to be my student, so I can physically put in a password. I just simply click create user, and it tells me always like to see green. Okay, so when you see greens, the student has been created successfully. So here immediately you can tell that the student ID has been created. All right, this is the one way. The second way is we can create them in bulk, because you would have told me, Janice, I have 200 students in my list. How am I going to go in and create them one by one? Okay, so I'm not going to do this 200 times. Never mind, we think about that. So we go into our admin portal. Okay, then you have here, no, sorry, under the user portal, when it loads up, you will have this option over here called create student user account. Okay, so over here, it will bring up all the student accounts, all the students that is in your system. All right, so all you need to do is to use this criteria section to narrow down your search. So you can say, if you're like me, because this is an in-house system, so I have both higher ed and short courses. All right, so if I want to only create my portal for my higher ed student, I just select that. And then if I need to create just for active, inactive, or I want to create for everyone, I will say I'll stick with the active. Now, courses. So this is interesting. You can say that if I have a row of 200 students made up of all the different courses that I have available at the moment, then I can simply go in and select all. So this way I will create a student ID for everyone. Okay. But if you're a little bit paranoid like me, I like to go through them by courses so I know exactly who I'm creating. Okay. Then you can go in and select student from the respective student respective courses. Okay, so the option is here for you to do. So for example, if I want to go into Bachelor of Accounting, then I have to also select, the next decision is, do I want to create an ID for everyone, right? Or do I just want to create ID for the current student only? Okay, so if I want to create for everyone, I don't care if they're enrolled or what student status they are in. I will just create a student ID for them. I'll use the all. But I want to narrow it down that I only want to give student ID to my current student. So I will select current student. I'll just click view student. So system automatically will shortlist all my student for me. And then up until this point, you can still decide. All right, I can use the select all to say I will create student ID for everyone here. Or alternatively, I can go in and say I only want to create ID for these few people. Okay, so it's up to you. So if I do that, then I can go in and say I will, let me just say create 1, 2, all right? And I can go in to say create user, I create user. All right, look at this little light bulb over here. Essentially, it's telling you because we are creating them in bulk, unlike where we are creating them in the individually, you are able to change the naming convention or a user ID convention. Okay, but because we're creating them in bulk, we don't have that luxury, that flexibility. So the system will automatically tell you the user ID will be the student ID and the password would be their birth date, which is in the format of day, month, and the 4 year. Okay, so once again, same thing. Once you click this create user, a automatic email will be fired out to the student. Okay, so if I just click create user, okay, so see how it turns green? It tells you it has been created and automatic email has been fired out. Okay, so this is on the basis that I've selected 2 students. If you say select all of them will turn green if they will fire out successfully. Okay, so this is how we will create a user ID both individually and in bulk. Okay, now I have set up I have previously created my couple of students. Okay, so if I come back here and say I want to go to my student here. Okay, and I will log in. Notice how it actually shares the same URL as your admin portal, but don't worry about that. You were saying, why are we using the same URL? You use the same URL, but then when we log in, all the options in there will be different compared to your admin portal. So if I do that and I click login, okay, see, this is the message that every new user, when you log in, you will see. We strongly suggest that you go in and say, yes, we'll change this password, but otherwise they have an option of going in to change later. Okay, because this is again an in-house system, so I have an extra questions that I have to go in and change my primary contact. In normal circumstances, you will not see this, the extra questions at the back. Okay, so I'm going to show you how annoying this message is going to be. So I'm going to say I'm not going to change it now. All right, so this will take me into my home page. If ever you need to do any communication, we can broadcast the information over here. So say, for example, your exams time is coming up. You have already set up your exams timetable. You want the student to go in and look at your exams timetable. So you can send a message out here, okay? Or you can send a reminder saying, hey, your exams is coming up next week. So please be prepared. You can send a reminder out in here as well. That is not today's topic. We're going to cover that a little bit later, okay? Then on the home page, see how it's, again, I have to apologize because this is a in-house system. So there is a couple of more tabs in here that is actually an extra module add-on into our package. Okay, so let's start from the home page. So over here, the profile here and the profile here is exactly the same. So I can simply click on here. It take me into the profile menu. So it will allow the student to go in and do certain things of editing their profile, like maybe changing their addresses, changing their emails. So once they do that, even though even adding another emergency contact, okay, so they can do this, and then once they change, just click update. This will be automatically updated. Okay, so this would be a good way of allowing students to manage certain degree, like just and like streamline some of their profile already. Okay, then you also have the accounts and security. So if the student have previously changed the password, this is very similar to all your staff that is now logged in, that have access to our admin portal. They are allowed to go in and edit their profile. They can allow to go in and change the password over here, or change the security questions. Okay, so if ever they actually did purchase the overseas student health cover of your college, it will be listed down here as well. But if they are buying it off somewhere else, fend for themselves, then this information would not come out here. Okay, I think I forgot to mention this session. It will be recorded for anyone that comes in a bit late. Session will be recorded and will be post this video after the session onto our YouTube channel. I have put the link onto my chat. If you can see, if you can't see, let me know, like, let me know in chat that I will post it again. So this session also, I have muted everyone. Then if you have any question, please post your question onto the chat so I can see. Okay, so now from here, I'm going to skip this this is view doc, as in that if there's any documents that we want the student to see, we can upload from the admin portal, upload the document, then the student will be able to see, okay? As well as material, this represents the course materials that the teacher can share. This tool is again an extra add-on module. So they don't come by default again. Even though if you have access to student portal, you will need to have them add on to add this into your package in order for the student to see. Okay, so now from here, coming into the basics function of student portal, they can obviously access their attendance. So see, for example, over here, if I say that I want to click onto here, I know this student, I've set this up the way that, so the student, this is in semester 1. Okay, so student can see I've marked a few attendance that the student has already attended. So obviously Janice being slack off, haven't marked all of the attendance for semester 1. So if Janice has been as diligent as she would like her to be, you will see all this attendance being marked. So from a student point of view, if they log in here, they will see all their attendance marked. Okay, now next is the timetable and the results. This is, I say, by all means, the most important part. So under timetable, currently you are still seeing the first semesters, because first semesters is supposed to be, for my calendar is not finished until the end of June. Okay, so technically this is still happening. All right, so this is the timetable, the one subject that I've enrolled. So the student will see their timetable. If they have enrolled like 4 subjects, if they need to do 4 subject a semesters, you will see the 4 subject timetable as created over here. Okay, so now next is obviously your results. Okay, so over here, I can see that I have marked this particular subject. So the student get to see their marks as in this is their final mark for the results. Okay, now next thing is obviously the payment. So under payment is very similar to the accounting screen in the admin portal. All right, but you can tell that anything that is in green has already been processed. So you can see that the 3 is over here. So one part of it, you will say, how come there is 4 lines up here and 3 lines down here? That is only mainly because one of the lines, student has not paid the full. So if they haven't paid, the lines at the bottom is only when the student have made the full payment. So once they have to make full payment, technically from the admin portal point of view, accounts would have then sent out the receipt to the student. But having access to the student portal, they can simply come in here and download their own receipts. Okay, so simply click on this icon over here. And you can basically see this is the receipt. Okay. Right, so this is the receipt. So they can then save it, print it, do whatever they want with it. Okay, you will have said here, over here, there is a pay now option. This is again on pay fees online. This is again another added feature that we can add on to our student portal. So we can then allow student to actually click and make payment online. This needs a little bit more work. It's kind of like we have to integrate and make sure it's all linked up with the correct banking details. Okay, so that's why hence this is another special feature that you can see, you can use. All right, and again, we have an evaluation. This again is our special module called survey management. So if you guys have purchased that extra module, we can always send out some survey questions under evaluation in the portal, so that student can go in and I haven't set any survey up here for you to see, but then once we have access to that survey module added to your package, they'll be able to pull out the respective survey and get them to answer questions from here. And then so the answers will reflect back into your admin portal. Again, this is an extra module. Okay, so coming back to the basics module, this is communication. So if the student have any would like to communicate with you guys, we now all communicate through emails, but in the student portal, there is this platform where they can communicate to the college or the teacher through this platform. So we have email feedback over here, so they can feedback to the system. Say, for example, the one that I like to use is facilities. They can say that, Wi-Fi on level 2 is not stable. Okay, so student could have said, hey, I'm sitting in the room in level 2, Wi-Fi in level 2, room 3 is not stable. Okay, so this is obviously hindering the students in terms of their laptop, how they do their work. So they want to feed this back to the administration. So they could have do that. And then if they have taken a picture or if there's any files, they can do that and then just say send feedback. Okay, so essentially this would be then sent successfully to administrator, and in the admin portal, the administrator will pick it up and then work on it. Okay, so then the other one allows them to email to the teacher. So for example, this is a specific class. If if I have, because this class have not set up with, like when I'm setting up timetable, Slack or Janus, I haven't added my teacher in there. So if I have access to my teacher, if I've already set up the teacher in the timetable, then the teacher's access would have pop up here with the teacher's email address. So for example, if this is going to be taught by teacher A, then teacher A's email address will be here. So student based on this subject will be able to select the teacher, okay, and then type in if they have any questions that they want to ask with regards to, the course, the subjects, or assignment and whatnot. They can then put in here and then send email to the teacher. Okay, so if there's 2 or 3 teacher that is assigned to teach this subject, then the list will be here, depending on which teacher was assigned to do that class. Okay, so basic functions is for student portal is all this. Again, you will say, how come I didn't mention about online tests? This is again a separate module that is not covered in today's function. Okay, so now coming back to our home page again, see how I see how annoying this message is? As soon as I click home, if I don't go in and reset the password, this message will keep popping up. Okay, so this is the feature for Student Portal. All right, I'm going to toggle back to the admin screen now. And let's talk about online enrollment. Okay, online enrollment essentially is obviously is to allow students to be able to enroll themselves in Student Portal. So, but before we do that, before the student can do that, we have to then set it up in our admin system before the student can actually do the enrollment. How do we do that? We go into Home and then click on Class Enrollment. Okay, so let me quickly reset all my functions. Okay, so basically go into Home, let's do again, and then Class Enrollment, the clock icon. It takes you into this page. This is a 2-step process. First is we have to set up, activate an enrollment time. Okay, essentially you got to choose which year, like what is your course type, which year, and which semester you are doing. Okay, so for this case, I am choosing 2025 HMH semester 2. Okay, so this is, where does this come from? This comes from the academic calendar that we have created under admin, manage calendar. So for those of you that have sat into my session before, you will know that I have always emphasized the semester's name is important. So this is where you will find the semester. Okay, and then the term usually is term 1. So over here, this is where you will set. It depends on, each college would have the different variation. I think most of you will probably say we do 4 subjects a year. So you have to allow for enrollment, how many minimum subject they were to enroll for a continuing student, as well as what is the maximum subject for continuing student. If you have new student coming on board, what are the minimum subject a new student should do? Okay, so in my case, I have set up a minimum of 2 subject and a maximum of 3 subject. Okay, and then you have to, next part is the most important part. When are you going to allow them? What is the enrollment period? Okay, so my semester 2 is not going to start until August. All right, but I want it to be set up. So I start my start date at 13th. You just simply click onto the calendar icon and select your start date, as well as when you want your enrollment period to close. Okay, so I only give it a very small window up until June. I know some people might want to let the enrollment period a bit longer, say a month or 2. So it's entirely up to you how long you want to keep the window open. This essentially only tells that allows the student between these dates, you can go in and do your own enrollment. Okay, so once you do all that, just click activate and this is what you will see. Okay, of course, if I want to go in and make some changes, for example, I want to extend my enrollment date to say 30th of July, I can do that too. Okay, so once I do that, I just click the green button and then so see how now I have extended the window of my enrollment period. Once I've done that, I have to go to my next step. This is where I bring up all my subjects. Okay, so over here, under this, because we have defaulted, I have linked 2 of my courses to the same semester. So any courses that, if you say I have 5 courses in my college and they all link to the same calendar set, then you will have all the 5 courses listed down here. So essentially you have to go in and do them one by one on how you want to release, like what subject is ready for you, for them to be enrolled to. Say for example, I choose and Bachelor of Business. So I have timetable ready. So when you come to this part, your timetable should already be all ready. Okay, so make sure that that is the case. All right. Then in this case, I have already set up timetable for these 3 subjects. So I can go in and select them and then click Assigned. Okay, because the subject that you set up here also correlates back to the subject that you're going to, the max and minimum subject. You're going to make sure you have enough subjects to match this. Okay, so I have 3 max. Then now over this sets. Okay, so for this particular Bachelor of Business, for this particular course, I have set this up to be receiving flexible timetable. So if I come back to course, under course, Bachelor of Business, over here, you can tell that my flexible timetable is set to yes. Okay, so by doing that, you will see this lot of icons. So essentially for each subject, you need to first click on to here to select which is your main course. Okay, depending on how you set up your timetable. I set it up the way that I have 1 lecture and 1 tutorial. This is how I want my class to go. Okay, so then first we select which one is the primary course, which one is your main course. My lecture is going to be my main course. And this is going to be applied throughout the same for the other 2 subjects. So I can simply use this icon and say, apply to all other activated subjects. If I don't use this and simply just click lecture and yes, I can add type, then I have to also obviously add my tutorial as my secondary course, but it is not a main class, but they still need to do. Okay, so if I don't click this box and to do here, I just simply finish. So I've already finished with the first subject. Then if I come into the second subject, I got to repeat the same steps again. Choose a main class and then add. But if I simply click here and say that lecture is going to be my main course and it applies to all other subjects, so I can select this. Okay, and then obviously add tutorial to the list. So by doing that, if I come to the third subject, notice how it's already pre-selected for me. Okay, so this is a convenient way. So imagine, I have only 3 subjects, so it's easy for me to manage. But if you say that, every semester my students going to have to do 10 different subjects, then that apply icon would be very convenient. Okay, so now the next icon, I call this the paintbrush icon. So over here, I can go in and say that this is how I set up my tutorial, okay, my timetable, okay? 1 lecture, 1 tutorial. So essentially, this is how they have to do 1 lecture and 1 tutorial, and they're all sitting in 1 batch. Okay, but imagine if I come into this one, see how I set this up with 1 tutorial, 1 lecture and 2 tutorials. All right, so I can leave this as it is and says that, why do I set this up? Because it's flexible timetable. So I've set it up for lecture to be my main timetable, my main class, and then students have the choice to choose between first tutorial or second tutorial, depending on the time. 1 is 2 to 3 and 1 is 7 to 8. Okay, so this is to give students the option. Now, if I go into the next one and says that out of these 3, actually this one, I want to play it a little bit different. Okay, lecture is definitely there. Tutorial, I want to see, because this is class of 40, I want to see, wait until this class is full when it hit 40, then I give the second tutorial. Okay, so this way I can withhold this class. Okay, so if you do it this way, that means that your team will have to manage the capacity report to make sure that this number hits up first. Okay, then once it hits 40, they will come back in here to release this class and say, and then I still have X number of students. So then you release this class for the rest of the student to come in and do enrollment. So naturally, if you do it this way, that will be first comes best dressed style of situation. Yeah. So if we do it like that, I'm going to leave this as a variation so that way you can see as an example. So once I do that, I'm pretty much set up already for Bachelor of Business. I'm going to also set up for, because I have 2 courses linked to this, and set up for here. Okay. Pretend you didn't see that. Haha. So now with my course, I have 4 subjects. Okay. So same drill. I have to select all my 4 subjects, though my maximum subject was 3. Okay. But I have set up all 4 subjects. You can choose to say that, maybe I don't want to do this. Okay. But let me put this up there as a reason. Okay. By doing that. So once I go assigned, okay, and then you can go in and notice how you have one icon short, okay? Because this course I have set up to be receiving no flexible timetable. Okay, so my flexible timetable is set to no. So if your flexible timetable is set to no, then there is no reason for you to, or there's no need for you to select how, lecture or tutorial, because they have to do it. There's no choice for them to choose. So if you click into here, see how it's just all the one choice. Okay. Imagine if you had set up different batches, then again, the same function, the same concept applies. I can withhold one class or one batch to wait for this batch to finish, to fill up the 30, then I open up the next batch. Okay. So I did not do that for this particular session or for this particular course. So basically, these are all my courses, pretty straightforward. Okay, so I'm going to show you 2 scenarios. So I'm going to log in and log out into 2 student ID. So to show you the difference in terms of one enrollment with flexible timetable and the other one without. Okay, so now over here, based on what we have just previously logged in, student C. Okay, here, student C, this is student C actually was enrolled to do Bachelor of Hospitality Management. Okay, so over here, see how I have, even though in my admin's portal, I have enrolled 4 subjects. Okay, so I've put 4 subjects, but because my activity is maximum is 3, so they will only come up with the 3 subjects here. Okay, so now if I quickly come back to my and say if I activate and change this to 4, okay, and let me refresh my screen. Okay, now good. So even if I change it to 4, how there is still 1 subject short. Okay, why is that? Because if I go back to my admin portal again, under course and subject requisites, okay, I have set up that in order to do, I set up a prerequisites to say in order to do HM004, they have to do HM003 first. Okay, so even though I have gone in and enrolled, set up a timetable ready for HM04. Okay, but because even though I set my maximum to 3, I mean from 3 to 4, when I come back here, system will recognize that the student have not done HM003. Hence, the HM004 did not pop up for them to choose. It's not an option for them. Okay, so if I just simply go in and select this course, Bachelor of Hospitality Management, as I said previously, I have set this up as a no flexible timetable course. So all the course means that they have to then simply select all of them and click enroll. Okay, so it told me that the subject has been enrolled successfully. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if I toggle back to my main page, go into student and look for my student now, I can simply go in here and see, other than the first one, which we have marked is done and dusted, we have now enrolled this student into these 3 course. I mean, these 3 subject. So it's not sitting there. Okay. So as far as the student is concerned, if I come back to the student page, and if I want to go in and preempt, let's have a look, in terms of timetable. Okay. So over here, we are still seeing semesters 1's timetable. But because semesters 2, it does not start until August, so they have to then simply go into the month. And here, if I go into August, see how the timetable that I set up for August is now being listed here. So they can preempt to see what their timetable is like in semester 2, only in a monthly format. So when they come hit semester start, they will be able to toggle back into the weekly option to see exactly which on that week, which day they have to do their class. Okay, so it's only when they have like if the timetable is kind of like in the future, um, they have to start from here, or if even though they have already on weekly, they can choose. Okay, they can build the timetable. All right, so this is see this keep popping up. All right, so this is how we control or we manage the class timetable for a timetable that does not have flexible timetable. Okay, let me quickly log out and I shall log into my different ID. Okay, again, this is a brand new ID that I log in. So yes, sorry, I'm annoying everyone at the moment. So if we come back into homepage, so now all the 5 features are the same. So we simply go into class enrollment from here. Now again, because this class is set up for Bachelor of Business, and my class, I have only set up 3 subjects for this enrollment. So I can simply select all 3. Okay, so over here, see how, because it's flexible timetable. So we have it's the whole layout is very different. So because we have made lecture as our main class, so it's now sitting on the left hand side. So this one we need to select. The student, no matter what they do, they need to select their lecture. Okay, if it doesn't select, say if I leave one out, we will see what the system will say. Okay, now over here is their tutorial. So we give them flexibility. The first one is batch 1. Okay, Monday different time. So we can go in and say, yep, I want to do this time. Okay. And then the second batch, I have again different time. I can go in and select. Now, remember, we hold one of the tutorial for the 3rd subject. So hence, this is only giving you the option of 1. Okay. So means that my admin team will have to monitor the capacity until I hit this capacity for whatever reason that you will hold the next class. Okay, so I have to choose all students come in, they will keep selecting whatever option they can have. And then when I suppose the most logical explanation for this is when the capacity hits 40, and then if you have 60 students, then the class would then, the admin team would then release the next class. So for student 41 onwards, they can go on to the next class. Okay, so I'm leaving my selection like that with 1 not chosen. So if I go in and say enroll now, see how the message is telling you that you have not enrolled all the subject. All right, you need to select all the selection. So I can simply go in here, click, and then say if I want to enroll. Okay. So now system is happy. It allows the system says that everything is now being enrolled. Okay. Now, because I have extended my window all the way to July, student could have come around and says, I actually don't want to do accounting fundamentals, right? I only just decided I only just want to do 2 subjects in this semester. So what to do? When we have the delete enrollment option here, but once we delete entirely. We delete entire thing, entire enrollment. So means that they are wiped clean. They have to start all over again. So I can go in there now and says I'm going to only select this 2, and I will select them as per. Okay, and click enroll. So this will allow student to enroll into the admin system as well. So let me quickly toggle back to the admin system. Okay, and go back to student. Search. Okay, so if I go into my results, you can simply see that the student has been enrolled into these 2 subjects. Okay, from the admin point of view, so if the student change their mind and says that actually I really do want to, I think I need to do the other 3rd subject. So, but then they have already completed the enrollment, and let's say we have after the 30th of July, student decided that, hey, I think I have the capacity to do 3 subjects instead of just 2, but then enrollment window has closed. So admin team can come back to their student portal screen. Notice how now this icon is an extra icon. Once they have online enrollment added, this icon will pop up. So they can then come in here, okay, to redo the same thing for them. So they can simply say, let's remove all this, then now let's do this. Okay, and then go in and select. Okay, so from the admin point of view, you still have this function. You have the access in the main portal to enroll student from here. Okay, having to say that, you still have the original way of going to the results and enroll student per results, per subject, if you have all the subjects listed. Okay, so you can go in and override and add them all per se. Okay, one by one. So this is pretty much my presentation for today. And just so that we also know, for the online enrollment, if we have set up once, there's a couple of features that we can add to this online enrollment for free. Okay, one of the feature obviously is the delete enrollment. This does not come by default. We need to turn it on for you if you require. Because some college might say that I don't want my student, once they finish the enrollment, that's it. I don't want them to go in and make any changes anymore. Hence, this is why it becomes the delete enrollment option. It's not kind of like a default feature. But if you want to allow the student to be able to delete their enrollment within that enrollment period, let us know. We can turn this feature on for you. Okay, so there's another feature is when the student has enrolled the subject into the subject, then the system will automatically generate an invoice once the enrollment is complete. Okay, so this is again another feature, another free feature that we can turn on for you. If you say that once the student have already enrolled, then we can automatically go into your admin system. Okay, and I can set it up the way that see how over here I have already automatically set up my invoice. Okay, so this is again another feature that we can turn on for you for free. All right, so as in, this would be a good feature for our accounts team, so that they don't have to manually go in and create the first installment. So it has already been set up. So this is the 2 easy feature that we can use. If you are interested in turning this feature on, again, please reach out to our help desk and our colleagues will be able to activate that for you. Okay, so I think this would be the end of my presentation. If we have any question, can you please post it onto the chat? So today's chat is a little bit quiet. Okay, do we have any other questions? Okay. All right. If it's all good, then let me turn my little face on again. All right. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for coming to today's session. I wish everyone a good weekend ahead, and I'll see you next time. Okay. Bye. Thank you. Thank you.